Hello, my name is Michael Weary. I'm currently in Florida. I just got here, unfortunately, for no good reason, but I'm doing my research presentation today on an article that I found written by Mr. Stephen Madden in 1999, and it was on proxemics and gender in a public setting, which was a hospital in this article. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the variables and concepts that were being researched in this article. Then I'm going to go ahead and talk about um, the research that he did and the hypothesis that he came up with before doing his research. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the method used. Then I'm going to talk about the results from Mr. Madden's research. And then I'm going to discuss how it affects everyday life and how I see it in my life, and a little bit about everything that this article has to do with the unit that I believe it was Unit 3 that we covered on proxemic zones. The variables and concepts that were being researched in this article were the proxemic zones, as I said. I believe it was Unit 3 that we discussed these, which were the study shows how close people get to one another while asking them questions in a public setting. And also the gender was used in this article. Study shows difference in what gender gets approached more often than the other in a public setting. The hypothesis that Mr. Madden came up with to research were one being that female assistants will be approached more often than male assistants when given a choice between the two. The second one he came up with was female assistants will be approached at a closer rate than a male assistant. The method that he used in this study to collect data, the method that was used to collect data was a study of 506 people and how gender had an effect on the distance and approach between strangers, which were male and females, in a public setting, which was, I said earlier, at a hospital. The findings in this study was that females approach a male research assistant more often at a closer distance or range than they do with female assistants. This research study and the setting of the study pretty much disproves other proxemic zone research from other situations and settings. The results of Mr. Madden's research was the first hypothesis was actually disproven, which was that more females would be approached than males in a public setting. There were a total of 292 participants that approached the male research assistants and only 214 that approached the female research assistants. Even the gender of this hypothesis was disproven. Out of 343 females that participated in the activity, 206 of them went to male research assistants, while the other 137 went to the female research assistant. This also is surprisingly true of the male participants. Of the 163 total male participants, 86 of them went to the male research assistant, while 77 went to the female. All in all, that was a total of about 58% of the total participants went to a male research assistant in the hospital rather than a female assistant, which disproves the hypothesis made by Mr. Madden. The second hypothesis was also disproven. Females surprisingly approached the male research assistant at a more closer rate and a more closer proxemic zone, more of the personal space, 0 to 6 inches. It seemed because when they approached a female, they actually stayed more distant in the 12 to 18 inch proxemic zones. It seemed as if females wanted to stand closer to the male research assistants because 96 of them stood within 6 inches of the male assistants and 71 of them stood within 12 inches. The females also seemed to stand farther away from their own gender, as I said, more 12 to 18 inches away from their same-sex gender. These results show that not only were the hypotheses that Mr. Madden thought of were incorrect, but also that the widely accepted Henle studies, as mentioned in this article, were also disproven. This study helps us realize that as time goes on, people are becoming more and more comfortable around men, as shown in the study results, and that they are also becoming more intimate with men as well. These results do not necessarily add to our understanding of proxemic zones, but they add more to confusion of trying to complete an understanding of how different genders approach one another and how close they approach one another in the public settings, and how close they get to personal space and different types of things that happen in everyday life. That's all I have for you today. So thank you.